WWNR News Talk 101.1 FM and 620 AM proudly presents a live broadcast of the Meet the Candidates Forum at the Beckley-Raleigh County Convention Center, brought to you by Frontier Communications, Employees Innovative Network, Bookkeeping for You and Taxes Too, and First Community Bank. Now we go live to the Beckley-Raleigh County Convention Center with Jay Quessenberry and Dave Kirby.
And good morning, everybody. We are live on the radio from the Beckley-Raleigh County Convention Center. It is Meet the Candidates. It's a huge event sponsored by the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Commerce. And our sponsors for this Meet the Candidates this morning include Appalachian Power and Beaver Coal Company. If you're out and about this morning, you can still make it out to this event. It is going to go until 9 o'clock, and we've got lots and lots of candidates here this morning. And our broadcast on WWNR, News Talk 620 and 101.1 FM, is brought to you proudly by First Community Bank, also brought to you by Frontier Communications, and by Bookkeeping for You and Taxes Too, and Employees Innovative Network. We thank our sponsors as we present this with limited commercial interruptions so you can get to know the candidates. Hopefully you can come out to the event, but if you can't, we're going to broadcast the entire event live this morning on News Talk 101.1 FM and 620 AM. We've got a pretty good crowd this morning, and I want to bring Dave Kirby in here. Dave, do you have a microphone? Okay. Dave is going to be one of the questioners, by the way, and we have quite a few candidates. We have quite a few candidates that are going to be here. In fact, there may be more candidates than audience. I'm only kidding, but a lot of candidates, right, Dave?
Well, you know, we'll have quite a few candidates at the main table up here, Jay, where you will be moderating. But we've also noticed just a lot of candidates in the crowd itself, some that are not going to be speaking today, but are at the same time running for various offices. They are here, and yet a lot of office holders also here this morning. So we are expecting a very, very good turnout. And if we look at the number of people that are here at 7 minutes after 7 already this morning, we can only imagine what that turnout is going to be, because the estimates are that we may have 350 or so people here this morning, and that is an excellent turnout. Of course, the weather has cooperated. It is a good morning as far as the weather is concerned. Many folks on their way to work will stop here this morning. And most importantly, we are going to have some of the movers and shakers when it comes to candidates in this campaign, because the decision makers and those that will be making decisions are going to be with us this morning. They are going to be ready to answer questions from a media panel. And that panel consists of Damian Kane, the editor of Beckley Newspapers, Tim Carrico, most of you know Tim, the anchor from WVNS Television, Keith Thompson of WJLS Radio will be one of those on the panel, and I have also been asked to ask a question or two. So we're excited about that, and I'll tell you what, one of the candidates said to me a little earlier, said, you know, we do these things all over the state, but this is one of, if not the best, candidate forums in the state of West Virginia. And I think that's something that not only Beckley, but the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Commerce and all of its members can be very proud of. So we are ready to go with another candidates forum. We hope to get started at around 7:30 this morning. That's the official start time. Now, I'll tell you, when you get when you get a number of people like we will have here this morning, and when you have all of the politicians involved, getting started on time sometimes in itself can be quite a challenge. But we've done a pretty good job of that in recent years, and I'm sure that will also be the case today. So a lot of people are coming in and mingling. Many talking, a lot of handshaking going on. When you look at the various tables here, as people are eating breakfast, they will look down beside their plates and they will see lots of ballpoint pens and business cards and chapstick and hand sanitizer and everything, all of those things containing the name of at least one candidate for office. So it's one of those days where you come out and you see all of those things as well. It is a great day for campaigning. It is one of those days where it should be very interesting to see how candidates respond to some of the questions. Jay Quessenberry standing by with a very special guest. Jay.
It's Jeff Miller, and Jeff is the president of United Bank of Beckley. Congratulations on that, by the way. And he also is over the governmental affairs at the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Commerce. And I know, Jeff, you're instrumental in putting this on. This is a really, really great thing to get citizens informed, because we need more citizens involved in the political process.
Correct, and that's the intention of the Chamber of Commerce and the Governmental Affairs Committee, is to not only host this event, but provide a forum for all the citizens and candidates to become informed of one another, but to also meet the citizenry that's out there and discuss the potential issues and topics with them on a regular basis. So.
Absolutely. I've heard it said the informed citizen is the cornerstone of our democracy, and it seems today with pop culture and everything else that people don't pay a lot of attention to things. I mean, you ask people on the street who our vice president is, and a lot of people can't even tell you.
That's correct, and it's very important for people to remain informed, stay informed, and ask questions and be a part of the process, and we're happy to be able to do that for them, provide the forum. Absolutely.
We want to stress to people you can still make it out to this event this morning. I know that a lot of people have already called in for reservations to be at this, but we're going to broadcast the entire event with no commercial interruption all the way through, so you can listen to it on 101.1 FM or 620 AM. And we're also very proud and pleased to be a part of this once again as we bring these candidates to the people of Southern West Virginia.
Thank you so much, Jay. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the panel as well to be here.
Absolutely. It's good to be here. And Dave, how many of these have we done? Lots of them over the years.
You know what? I've sort of lost count, and that's just been over the past few years. When you start counting, Jay, you really have to go back, you see.
I really do. It's always so enjoyable, because you get to see a side of the candidates that you don't normally get to see when they stop by and knock on your door.
You're absolutely right. And the one nice thing about this, forget the media panel and forget the questions that we will be asking. And an event like this gives just regular voters the chance to go up and go face-to-face with a candidate and ask a question or two. And they don't always get that opportunity. So something like this, where it's more or less an informal setting, where you're having breakfast, a cup of coffee, and you have the opportunity to ask someone a question that you may never thought you'd even be able to see face-to-face, it can make a big difference. But we are going to have a number of candidates here today. Most of the gubernatorial candidates are expected to be here. This is an important election year. I think all of us are looking around right now, and we know the problems that our state legislators have had as far as the budget is concerned. We know about the situation with coal here in Southern West Virginia. We know about the outcry for more jobs. We know about the problems facing education and our school systems. And on top of all of those things, we know that we face a critical time where many young people are leaving the state. So these are a lot of things that have to be addressed, and it's pretty easy to talk about them, but it's going to get down to the nitty-gritty, and we're going to have to come up with some answers. And not only that, we're going to have to do something about all of these things, or it can very easily get out of control. So a lot of things for people to talk about, a lot of things for people to discuss, and then we have to, I think, really start saying, okay, specifically, what are some of the answers? It's always an easy thing for people to say, well, we need this or we need that, but how do we specifically get the job done? So a lot of things to be talked about this morning as these candidates will be here for the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Candidates Meet the Candidates Forum. It's a special day today, and I guess Jeff may have mentioned this, Jay, when you were talking with him, but the sponsors here for the forum are Appalachian Power and Beaver Coal Company, and that's what makes it possible, Jay, for people to come in and have a pretty nice breakfast. And I'll tell you what, this isn't a punch and cookies type of thing. This is a big deal.
It's even biscuits and gravy, Dave. It doesn't get any better than that. And we do thank them. They actually pay for this breakfast for people to enjoy. And then we also want to thank our sponsors, too. And we're doing this with limited commercial interruption, including First Community Bank. Also, we have Employees Innovative Network. We have Frontier Communications and Bookkeeping for You and Taxes, too. And we thank our sponsors for making this possible. We're not going to run any commercials until this is all over, because we want people to be informed and to learn about these candidates. So we're delighted this many candidates will show up in one place and get an opportunity for people to really learn about this, because we need lots of things here in this area. As you know, David, you and I talk about it every day, and we really need to listen to these candidates and go vote, because that's the way you get things done and get things changed.
Have you explained to the listeners about the format and just how it will work today, so they know going in just
No, we usually do that right when we start out, but no, I have not yet. But it's basically the judge candidates will not be asked. We won't ask questions of them. We'll be asking questions of the candidates, and the judge candidates will actually be they'll be just basically speaking for a few minutes. So, and we've got everything from the governor candidates all the way down to judges. And we've got lots of people here today, and we're just delighted this many people could show up. Also, Dave, I wanted to mention the Supreme Court candidates are here this morning as well.
And I'll tell you this much, with all of the politicians we have in this room right now, we have enough hot air to have a balloon festival. We could do that, I think, without any problem whatsoever. But it's also a fun day. It's a day when people get a chance to kind of joke and communicate and talk. Ellen Taylor's here, and I know she's one of the busiest people around right now, the director of the Chamber. This event has really grown through the years, and it's one of the premier events for the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, it is. You know, we enjoy having everybody come out and meet the candidates, that's what this is all about, is just come out, shake hands, hear what they have to say, and make an intelligent decision when you get ready to vote.
We all walk in, have a chance to grab a bite to eat, shake a few hands, talk to a few people, but you have to do a lot of work behind the scenes. What does it take to put something like this together?
Well, we're kind of used to doing this. This is what we do at the Chamber. We do a lot of events and put them together, and you know, we just have to do a lot of the detail work because it does take a lot of time. But we're pleased to do it, and we're happy to see so many people interested in the process and all the candidates coming out. So we're just delighted to have this kind of a program.
Many people think of a Chamber of Commerce and they think of businesses that sign up and belong, and they think of a fair or a festival, this type of thing. But the Chamber really goes behind the scenes and does a lot for the community, doesn't it?
We're involved in a lot of programs, and we have a lot of partnerships in the community, and we think that's really important, that you partner with communities or with organizations. For instance, Beckley Area Foundation. We have such a wonderful partnership with them. We work well with the city and the county, the airport authority. I mean, it's a real partnership between the Chamber and other organizations, because we couldn't do these things by ourselves. It takes other organizations to help get things done.
It's also very easy for people to go stand back in the corner and say the economy's not so hot and not get involved. But you know that there are people out there, volunteers especially, that are really doing a lot of things behind the scenes for our community.
Absolutely. Without volunteers, the Chamber of Commerce couldn't function because we only have 5 staff people. So we couldn't do what we do without volunteers. And when you look at United Way and other Beckley Area Foundation, other organizations, volunteers are critical, and they're critical here today. We have a media panel that volunteers and others that volunteer, so it's an integral part of our community.
Anyone that ever wants to get involved, if they'll just give the Chamber a call, I'll bet you can probably find something for them to do.
We'll find a job for them.
That's good. Ellen, I know you've got a lot to do. Thanks for visiting with us. This is the Meet the Candidates Forum today, and I'm Dave Kirby. We're glad all of you could join us today on WWNR Radio. And the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Commerce, of course, the sponsor of this event. And it's a great day. And every time I think we can't hold many more people in the room, more people keep coming through the doors. So we're seeing quite a few folks come in here today, and it's going to be a nice event. And a lot of people, a lot of handshaking, and it sort of really makes this campaigning get down to a serious side, because today, I'm sure there are going to be some tough questions asked. I think some of the people that are on the campaign trail may hear questions today that they've never heard before. So I think they're going to find out not only what a media panel has to ask, but they're also finding out just what regular voters think. Because as I mentioned earlier, it gives voters a chance to, in an informal setting, gives voters a chance to kind of meet and greet and talk to the candidates. And that's really what it's all about. Forget about the formal part of the day, but it's more about people who just simply are ready to cast a vote and may not be aware of some of the stands that the various candidates are taking, and it can be a very, very special opportunity for them. We are expecting over more than 300, and I think we are closing in on that now. I look outside, I can see that the sun is coming out. Looks like we've got a beautiful day. If you're out there maybe on the way to work this morning and would like to stop in for a few minutes, that's okay too. We are at the Beckley-Raleigh County Convention Center, and we are going to actually get the formal part of the program started right around 7:30 this morning, so that's coming up here in just a few minutes. But we are on the air live on WWNR Radio, and a good friend of mine, Tim Carrico. Boy, it's early for you this morning. You're out here ready to ask questions. Are you doing okay? This is early for you.
Yeah, this is about as early as it gets for me. Normally going home at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I get up around noon or so, 6 o'clock came really early for me, but it's great to be out here, meet the candidates, and allow the citizens and the business owners of Raleigh County to meet these guys before we get to May 10th.
Tim, you, of course, the anchor at WVNS Television, and you grew up in Beckley. When you look at some of these people, it has to be, I would think, a little awe-inspiring, because you look at some of these guys and some of the ladies around here, you literally grew up with them. You were a kid when they were in office, and now you have a chance to ask questions. Do you think about that and how it all works?
Oh, yeah. There are so many people here that I know. They're parents. They're people that I've gone to school with their kids. So it's great to sit here and talk with them and watch them run for public office.
All right. All sounds good. I think we're about ready to get started. Jay, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Dave. We're going to let Jeff make an announcement. Jeff Miller, who is over the governmental affairs at the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Commerce, as we get everybody ready, because we're actually tied to the PA system, so whatever you say is on the radio too. Jeff?
Good. Thank you, Jay. And if I can have everyone's attention, we're going to go ahead and ask that all the candidates please come to the front and take your seats. We are going to begin promptly here at 7:25. So if all the candidates could go ahead and come to the front and take their seats, we will begin here momentarily. Thank you.
Okay, we're back on the radio here. I'm looking for Dave. Dave, there you are. We're getting all the candidates up here, and we're still live on the radio, of course. Don't you love live radio? This is great, isn't it? So we're getting all the candidates up here, and we're getting prepared, Dave, and we have a great audience this morning.
I think this is, we always talk very often about things being bigger and better, and I truly believe that this one might be bigger and better than all of the ones in the past. But we have an enthusiastic crowd here this morning, and I'll tell you what, a pretty nice looking bunch of people too, I might add. They've come in this morning and seem to be awake, and that's good. And now the real question is going to be here in a little bit, just how alert and awake some of these candidates are, because they're going to get hit with some questions that they may not be expecting, and maybe some difficult questions. And that's good, because we have difficult questions that need to be asked. We have problems in our state that need to be addressed, and I think we all know about these things, and we're well aware of them. And to be quite honest with you, I am not envious of some of their positions, because the questions are one thing. Being able to come up with the answers can be extremely difficult from time to time. So we're going to officially get started here in about 7 minutes or so. The candidates have been asked to move up to the main table, and they are doing that as we speak. Several of the gubernatorial candidates here this morning. We will not be asking questions necessarily to some of those who are in races where they are unopposed, and also for some of the races where maybe there is not any sort of policy being made. So all of those things will be going on. But it's going to be one of those days where people get a chance to talk to the candidates, the bell being rung, so we know everybody's going to be getting started here pretty soon. And I think what is happening right now is the candidates are trying to make their way to the main table. They are also trying to get away from some of the voters, simply because people are wanting to go one-on-one and ask questions. And that's the most wonderful thing about all of this. And now they're trying to settle in place so the media can start asking here in the next few minutes. Jay.
What we're hoping is we can get everybody to sit down. We just need to get the room quiet it down so we can begin. We have lots and lots of candidates and lots of information we want to share, so please, everybody, get your seat, and let's begin here in just a second. We want to remind everybody, too, that we are broadcasting live on WWNR, AM 620 and 101.1 FM. It's certainly a pleasure to be broadcasting this event for the Beckley-Raleigh County Convention Center, and this is brought to you again by the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Commerce. Dave, we're going to begin here in just a second.
Okay, keep that in mind. We're going to try to get everything officially started right around 7:30 this morning. It is not too late. If you are out driving, maybe you are on your way to work, whatever the situation might be, we encourage you to stop by. This may be the one of the few times, I should say, that you get a chance to talk to some of these people one-on-one or get a chance to hear some of the questions that are going to be asked. I will say this, that none of the candidates have any idea what we on the media panel may be asking, which probably makes a lot of sense, because I'll be honest with you, sometimes I'm not even quite sure what I'm going to ask until I hear some of the responses. And that's sort of what leads to the questions a lot of times. When we hear a response to a question, then where there is a natural follow-up, there is another question that needs to be asked. So we hope that as the result of all of this, at the end of the day, we won't leave people hanging. That when a question is asked, you will be satisfied that that question was answered properly, and that question was answered, to the best of the candidate's ability and knowledge. And that's what we're looking for. We just sort of all want to come out to something like this and see that the cards are laid on the table, that we are all talking about situations in which this great state of West Virginia and this area of Raleigh County and Beckley can be made better. I think we all know we've got some room to move along those areas, so we're going to try to get that done. I think that Jeff is about ready to make his introduction of Jay. So, Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Dave. If I could have everyone's attention, we'll go ahead and begin the program for the morning. I want to welcome everyone to the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Commerce Meet the Candidates event. And I want to say a very gracious thank you to all the candidates that did come out today. Their participation obviously makes this one of the most well-attended events across the state, and it's become a tradition of its own in the southern part of the state, so we certainly want to thank them for being here. I also want to remind everyone that early voting does begin April 27th through May 7th, and that the primary election is held on May 10th. There is also a nonpartisan election related to city and county positions as well, so that will be the only election of May 10th for those. I also want to say thank you to the Chamber staff and to the Board of Directors. Most importantly, I would like to thank the sponsors of today's event. For them, this would not be possible. So therefore, two individuals and their companies that they represent, Mr. Ron Robinson with Appalachian Power Company and Woody Duba with Beaver Coal Company. Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our moderator for today, Mr. Jay Quessenberry, the General Manager of Southern Communications. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. It's such a great, distinctive pleasure and privilege to be a part of this. Thank you so much. And we want to welcome our radio audience as well on News Talk 620 and also on News Talk 101.1 FM. It's certainly, again, a pleasure to be here, and we thank all the candidates and all the participants who are here at the Beckley-Raleigh County Convention Center. We want to introduce our media panel first, then we're going to introduce the candidates, then we're going to get into the forum and let you hear from these candidates. And we have a very distinguished media panel here this morning. And we want to start with Damon Kane, who is editor of Beckley Newspapers of the Register Herald. We're certainly glad to have him this morning. Welcome. We have our hometown anchor, Tim Carrico from WBNS 59 News. Welcome, Tim. Also from Southern Communications Radio, including WWNR News Talk 620 and 101.1 FM, Dave Kirby, WWNR. And from WJLS Radio, we'd also like to welcome Keith Thompson, who will be asking questions again this morning. Keith, welcome. And it's such a tradition to have Pete Tirico as our official timekeeper. Can you demonstrate our time bell? The cowbell, it's very distinctive. When you hear the cowbell, what do you got to do, candidates? You're out of time. That's what it means. So we're glad to have you again this morning, Pete. Pete's a great timekeeper, and we've done this for many, many years, and we thank you for that. Now, we want to welcome the candidates. There's lots of candidates that we want to welcome this morning. So if you can hold your applause until the end, there's a lot of candidates to welcome, which we want to do, and then we'll get into the forum. First off, we want to welcome Tally Sargent, who is the state director for Hillary Clinton, who's with us here this morning. Also, the introduction of candidates. We got some great folks that were with us here on this forum this morning, including the gubernatorial candidates, Jim Justice, Booth Goodwin, and Jeff Kessler. From the Supreme Court, we have Brent Benjamin, the incumbent, Wayne King, Darrell McGraw, Beth Walker, and William Wooten. For the Commissioner of Agriculture, Kent Leonhardt is here this morning. Secretary of State, Natalie Tennant is with us this morning. She's the incumbent. Auditor, John McCuskey, Mary Ann Clater, Jason Pizzantella, and also Robin Ryder. They're here with us this morning. State Treasurer, John Perdue. For the House of Representatives, Matt Detch. For Circuit Court, we have this morning Division 1, John Hutchinson, who's the incumbent. Division 2, H.L. Kirkpatrick, the incumbent. Division 3, we have Robert Burnside, the incumbent, and Michael Frobel. In Division 4, which is the new division, we have James Brown, Andrew Dimlick, also Cindy Kimlinger-Fernald, Christopher Leffler, John Parculo, Darrell Poling, Stanley Selden, Clyde Smith, and Russell Wooten. For the State Senate, Sue Klein, the incumbent, is with us this morning. Also Michael Good. For House of Delegates, District 27, Marty Gerhardt, the incumbent, and John Schott, the incumbent. In District 28, Roy Cooper, John O'Neill, the incumbent, both incumbents, William O'Brien and Wayne Williams. In District 29, Donnie Coleman, Ricky Moy, the incumbent, Derek Siebert and Greg Wood. In District 3, Mick Bates, the incumbent. In District 39, Christine Ross. In District 32, Greg Christ, Tom Fast, the incumbent, Randy Halsley, Kayla Kessinger, the incumbent, Shirley Love, John Pino, and Margaret Staggers. In Family Court, we have Bruce Lazenby, the incumbent, and Eric Shuck with us this morning. In the Circuit Court race, we have Paul Flanagan, the incumbent, and Philip Lewis. For the County Commission, Louis Begovich is here this morning, and Dave Tolliver, the incumbent. The Prosecuting Attorney, Kristen Keller, the incumbent, is here this morning. For the Sheriff race, Dan Ellison, Patrick McMillan, and Scott Van Meter are with us this morning. In the Assessor race, Billy Joe Moore Jackson, Linda Sumner, and Gerald Swanson are with us. On the Magistrate incumbent, Randy Humphrey is here. Richard Jones and Steve Massey, all incumbents, along with Tommy Supek, another incumbent, and John Mays is with us this morning. For the Board of Education, we have Lewis Harvey, Amanda Kennedy, Jack Roop, the incumbent, Richard Snuffer, the incumbent, and Russell Webb. For the Mayor of the City of Beckley, we have Dr. An Amjad, Rob Rappold, and Cedric Robertson with us this morning. For Beckley City Council at large, Tim Berry, the incumbent, Kip Buchanan, Sherry Hunter, and Tony Martin. In Ward 1, we have Chase Davis and Tom Sofer, the incumbent. In Ward 2, Ann Worley, the incumbent. In Ward 3, Robert Dunlap, Candy Krager-Kozar, and Frank Williams. And in Ward 4, we have James Peterson, Kevin Price, and Gavin Ward. And finally, last but not least, Ward 5, Janine Bullock, Lee Leftwich, and Jeff Shoemate, all with us this morning. Let's give these candidates a big round of applause. That is a huge roster of candidates, and we really, really greatly appreciate them taking time out of their schedule to be with us this morning. And now we want to begin our forum, and we're going to begin with the introduction of the gubernatorial candidates. We have with us this morning Jim Justice, Booth Goodwin, and Jeff Kessler, all Democrats running for the governor of West Virginia. Each candidate will have 4 minutes to speak, and then they'll be asked 3 questions by the media panel, and we'll have 1 minute to answer the question. Pete Tarico, with his great cowbell, will be alerting you that you have 10 seconds remaining until your time expires. So let's begin this morning. We're going to begin with Mr. Justice because he has to run to another event and will be leaving right after he answers his 3 questions. So, Mr. Justice, if you can take that podium right over there. And we'll begin our first question with Damon Kane, who is editor of the Register Herald. Damon?
Yes, Jim, thanks for coming this morning.
If you could just get a little closer there to the mic, Damon, so our radio audience can hear you as well.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
And by the way, if everybody will really work the mics closely so we can hear you on the radio as well. Yeah, if you're going to speak first, I'm sorry. We'll speak first, and then we'll begin with your question. Go ahead. You got 4 minutes. I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to take my whole 4 minutes, David. First of all, thank you so much for letting me come back home. You know, there's so many of you that are real friends that I grew up with. You were kind enough to bestow your Community Service Award on me years back, and I appreciate you for not only that, but all you've done for our community, for our state, for a long time. Now, I'm not going to belabor who I am, because you know me. You know my family. You know what we've done. You know the struggles that we've taken on, whether it be Briar Patch or Glade or Black Knight. Somebody had to reach out and do something. You know the opportunities of things we've done. The Beckley Little League. The things that I'm really proud of. Really proud. 1,000 kids for every single year. The only Little League, according to Terry Miller, in the Atlantic Division. The only Little League in your town that charges no fee to be in it. You need to be proud of that. A lot of people have pulled that road. There's a lot of great things that have happened here in Beckley. The Big Atlantic Classic, that at one time was the Mountain State Coal Classic. It floundered in Charleston, but we brought it here. You supported it. Good things happen. Now let me just tell you this. There's things about me that you may not know. You may not know that at age 11, I think I played in the first game ever played in our armory. I was a Crescent Chipmunk. And we played Central in the game before the Woodrow game. We lost in the county championship. Thank goodness I was only 11, because the next year we won it. But you can probably remember Pack and Ronnie and Bain and David and Billy Carbonic going down through the lane. I was there. I was there at the Mountaineer Fieldhouse when that ball kissed the glass with an insurmountable lead that Weirton had, and we won. Now, I would just tell you just this. Coach Wiseman kept telling those kids at that time, keep sawing wood, boys, keep sawing wood. Now, you've sawed wood a long time in this state, and so have I. You need to taste victory. You need to taste winning. It's time. Ask yourself real simple, why in the world is Jim Justice running for governor? It's surely nothing for me. I'm running for you. I salute you on all you've done. I ask you just simply to do one thing. Close your eyes. Close your eyes and imagine. Imagine a place. We'll call it West Virginia. Imagine a place that's located within 600 miles of 2/3 of the population of this country. Imagine a place with 4 of the most beautiful seasons on the planet. And imagine a place that abounds in natural resources beyond belief. Imagine a place that has its real treasure, you, the greatest people, the greatest values, family, all the things we are, faith-based, low crime, everything. And imagine this. We have continued to pitch 50th year after year after year. I can change it around. It's not that hard. Don't let anybody tell you it's that hard. God bless you. Thank you for having me. I love you. Thank you for having me back home.
And now we want to get to our questions. You'll get 3 questions, and we begin with Damon Kane, editor of the Register Herald.
Yes, Mr. Justice, some things are hard, and it seems like budget negotiators from the Senate and from the House are having a tough time putting together a budget, filling the budget for fiscal year 2017. What are your ideas for creating a revenue stream that replaces the loss of those monies from the coal industry?
Well, one thing for sure that we've absolutely got to get into budget. If we don't take care of these black flies, they almost ate us alive years and years ago. Now, and I don't say that to be funny. I was here when my kids were outside trying to just play in the yard and would come in and look like somebody shot them with a shotgun or something. But anyway, just here's the thing. We have gone about it so wrong. We have said we got a $600 million deficit. What are we going to do? We're just going to be, all you can possibly do is cut our way out of this or tax our people more. That's the only play we know how to run. There's another way. My dad would have said, son, if you can't get it done in 24 hours a day, you're going to have to work nights. There's another way. You can't cut your way out of this mess. You got to grow revenue. You got to create jobs.
Next question from Tim Carrico, anchor of WDNS 59 News.
Mr. Justice, you've always described yourself as a coal man here. And with the number of coal jobs that continue to plummet all across the Mountain State with little to no infrastructure here in southern West Virginia, what are your plans to speed up development in our area and draw different industries here?
I am a coal man. I won't give up on coal. There's no way. I believe it's still got a great future in front of it. But I tell you just this. Even when coal was at its best, we were still 50s and everything coming or going. What does it tell us? We've got to do more. We've got to diversify in every way. Just think about what I said. 4 unbelievable seasons, craftsmen, all the opportunities we may have with education. If we would shove education to the front and let it be our economic driver instead of a necessary evil, like how are we going to fund it? Just think about this. What are the possibilities about agriculture? What are the possibilities about tourism? Who would ever thunk that Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus and Lee Trevino and Gary Player would be doing something in West Virginia? It's $1 billion project. $1 billion project.
Our next question from Dave Kirby of WWNR.
I think most of us will admit, Mr. Justice, that you've done some remarkable things. As a kid growing up, I never thought we would have a PGA event that would be nationally televised. An NFL team training in West Virginia, no, that wouldn't happen. Couldn't. And the Greenbrier to be accessible to kids so that they can see exactly what goes on there. But we're still talking jobs, and we're losing people in our state. And your campaign signs say justice, jobs, jobs, jobs. So my question is specifically, how?
It's a very, very legitimate question. Ask yourself just this. Today, my payroll in West Virginia is 2,719 people. 2,719 people. An annual payroll of $84 million. I could throw up the white flag. I mean, I could. I've done it. I've done it. To give you the how would take much longer than a minute. You've got to make a decision. Who's done it? Who's done it? Who's involved in ag and medicine and education and coal and oil and gas and timber and tourism? Who's done that? I've done it.
Thank you, Mr. Justice. Let's give Mr. Justice a round of applause.
I'm sorry.
He has to run
I've got to go. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. God bless.
Thank you. We're grateful you could be here, and he has to go to another event, so thank you for fitting that into your schedule. Thank you. And now we want to move to the next gubernatorial candidate, Booth Goodwin. And Mr. Goodwin, you will have 4 minutes to speak, and then we'll ask 3 questions of you as well. You can take this podium right over here if you wish. Thank you. Good morning.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epic of belief. It was the epic of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven, and we were all going direct the other way. Over 150 years ago, we left the rigged system run by plantation aristocrats in the worst of times. And we crossed the Alleghenies so that we could always be free and create the best of times. We were followed by those whose goal was to exploit us, to accumulate wealth for themselves. They bought politicians, thugs, and they were successful. We fought back. Our ancestors said, we're not going to take it anymore. They formed small businesses and unions and secured our freedom and built the foundation for our home among these hills. Seasons of light with progress and prosperity followed, but now darkness is returning. The light of the industrial age, which brought us coal mines and chemical industries, steel mills, those are now fading. We can look at our circumstances and see the spring of hope and the winter of despair. We see a drug abuse crisis, a state budget crisis, a jobs crisis. But we also see a state of unparalleled beauty and a strong people capable of rising from the abyss and overcoming the challenges of our time. Our people need a strong leader. We need a leader who is not afraid and who has the integrity and courage to do the right thing. I want to be that leader. I want to do that job. I know it will be harder than anything that I've ever done, but it will also be a far, far better thing than I have ever done. Our kids deserve a bright future right here at home in West Virginia, and by the grace of God, we will give it to them. We want good-paying jobs, fairness, equal pay for equal work, PEIA fixed, the budget hole filled, and a sober, educated workforce. We're going to reach those goals the old-fashioned way. We're going to fight our way there. The people of West Virginia will shoulder the burdens that they must in order to have the quality of life that they deserve. I will cut government everywhere that I can and raise the revenues that I must. We have to diversify our economy, and we have to move fast. Our grandfathers and grandmothers built some of the country's greatest treasures as they climbed out of the Depression. We will follow their example. As we move to diversification, I will immediately put our unemployed mountaineers to work fixing our bridges, our highways, our public buildings, and our state parks. I will not cut education. We need intellectual capital to create a monetary capital. I will say, as I continue to borrow from Dickens, that we are all going direct to almost heaven and not going all direct the other way. Thank you.